Ahoy, crafty friends. It's Justine Dvorak from Stationery by Justine, where when I craft, my world stands still. Why do I say ahoy? You might be asking yourself as you listen to my kooky self make this video. Well, it's June, and Spellbinders clubs for June are all themed around water or the sea, and I'm diving in, as it were. As usual, this is my club video for Spellbinders. I received this product early, so I have a chance to show you. So you'll see some of my products are not in the beautiful packaging that Spellbinders comes in. I kind of do my own thing with packaging, and I will just walk through what this month's clubs are, and then I will get to the making later. So I will pop a timestamp on the screen, and you can jump ahead to that if you don't want to hear my thoughts and opinions or show you what everything is new for the month. But if you want to just stick around, you certainly can, and I'll show you what's up for this month. And I really like this one. I typically like clubs that are themed where everything can coordinate, and I can already envision a lot of these coordinating, and I'm extremely excited to show you. So enough of the chit chat. Let's dive right in. Like I said, I get things early, so sometimes I don't get everything early. For example, the wax seal, which I'm very excited about because the wax seal is called Seize the Day, which, hello, there's a pun right there on the wax seal. And if you know me, you know I love a pun. Hence the way I named my company, Stationery by Justine, or my business, not my company, but my business. I love a pun. Not only do I like this this wax seal, I don't have it yet, but I love the design because I can look at it, so I can give you my little opinion on it. But it's also telling me, Spellbinders is also telling me that at the moment, what you're going to receive with the wax seal is the ink wax beads. And you might be wondering, what's that? Well, I happen to have them on hand, so I will show you what they are. They're gorgeous. Here you go. You can see it almost looks black. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous with the paint pens that are from Spellbinders. Well, that's Spellbinders. They're gorgeous with the metallic paint pens. Like, this is last month's wax bead. I'm so very proud of you. And I actually stamped this one in ink. So there you go. A little connection back to last month. And I really love how the ink really holds up well to the silver paint pen and the gold paint pen. So I'm excited to have this one in my stash, and of course to have more ink colored wax beads. And you know, ink is reminding me about a little something that I like to use every once in a while, but it's the Spellbinders watercolor mixing. This is also that stunning blue, blacky, navy color. It is gorgeous, gorgeous. And I use these for splattering. So I keep these on hand, but that is that same ink color, or indigo. It says on here, indigo. We'll call it indigo. So speaking of things you get with products, with the wax seals, you get wax beads. With the Glimmer, you get a Glimmer hot foil roll. Now, I'm pretty sure I have every Glimmer roll that Spellbinders sells, and I don't have this one. This is called Opal, but I'm seeing here that it's copyright 2022, so maybe I just missed it. But Opal is one of my favorite wax beads besides ink, because it's like a white, but it's a little bit see-through and it's a little bit sparkly. I love that wax bead. And if this Glimmer foil is like that, which it looks like it is, let's just open it up, because why not? Seize the day, right? I'm really excited about this one. And just wait till you see the Glimmer of the month. Oh, gorgeous. I'm just going to take my time going through these products and not rush, because we all know that this club video is going to be long anyway. So hopefully you've gotten a little snack or some water. You're just chilling. Maybe you're crafting along. Oh my goodness. So yes, it's kind of like clear, but do you see that rainbow effect? Just imagine what this is going to look like on navy or like that indigo color cardstock. This is going to be gorgeous. Oh, okay. Well, that's exciting. Get my little mitts on that. Let's dive into the Glimmer because I just had that product out. So let's show what is the Glimmer plate that you're going to use this stunning foil for or with. It is this. Look at that. It's like a mermaid. I saw this and I got so excited. It's called Castaway. And it kind of looks like a net on their example card. Do you see that? But it also kind of looks like it kind of looks like a net in water to me on their example, which is a cool way because I look at this and I see a mermaid tail or fish scales. And now in this example, it's definitely looking like a net with water. So it's kind of a fun little two ways you can use the same thing, you know? And how adorable is that seagull with his wee little hat? Get out. So cute. All right. Since package is open, let's chat about a few things before we move on. So with that Glimmer background, there are 3 Glimmer sentiments. There's happy birthday, cast a net full of wishes. And then this one says, throw your net wide this year. Interesting. I like that. That would be really fun for like beginning of the school year. I don't know. My brain is always around teaching. Anyway, and it comes with a cutting die that will cut out those sentiments. So that's perfect for glimmering. Now, if you get the caboodle, which means you're buying the whole club, the whole kit and caboodle, you do get a lot of savings on that. And sometimes they will throw in free items. So what is going to be the extra little bonus, if you will, the bonus item for June is this die that's called Set Sail. And it works so well with literally everything in this club kit, but Spellbinders is recommending to use it with the large die. And just wait until you see the large die. Oh, I squealed when I first saw it because it made me so pumped. But here is what the boat looks like when it's all assembled. It's a very sweet boat, and I think this would be wonderful for making either like Father's Day cards or masculine birthday or just like peaceful summer cards. So I'm pumped to put that little die together. I love a small die like this that really stands on its own. You could do maybe 5, 7, odd numbers, 3, 5, 7 of these on a card and make a really beautiful scene. So that is in my future. Then the stamp, clear stamp of the month. You can get just the clear stamp or you can get the stamp with the coordinating die. And you know that I love a bubble cut sentiment, which means it's going to cut out each sentiment individually. So if I want this one that says many thanks from this salty sailor, which is hilarious, I can die cut out that sentiment and it is perfect. No weird fussy cutting going on there. I mean, I don't hate fussy cutting, but I love a bubble sentiment. You know that if you've watched some of my videos, but that is the Glimmer, the clear stamp and die, and then the little extra lovely bonus item for June. Let us move along. And I promised myself that I would try to keep things tidy and not make a disaster every time I film. So we're just going to tuck that away. If you're wondering where I got the pouches from and the magnet sheets, I just grabbed them from Amazon. I will link them down below. I'm not an Amazon affiliate, so there's that, but I do find these actually very helpful. Okay. Let's talk about the large die because you know that I was pumped about it when I saw the example. It is called Sailor's Light. Sailor's Light. And it is so gorgeous. Look at the example one. There's a lighthouse, a building, and then a house. There's mountains in the back. There's these bouncy little hoop-de-doo clouds. There's little flags to add to the buildings. There's these giant boulders, which you could scale down and do as shells on a beach if you did not want to do the houses and the lighthouse. There's these really fun little water swishes. Lots of things you can do with these. You don't have to make this specific design. You can mix and match and make really cool things like a mountain scene card, or maybe you just want a cloud die to have in your stash, or maybe you want a little water, but you don't have to make this example is basically what I'm saying. So that is just so stinking cute. I love the theme. And like I said before, Spellbinders is recommending this cute little sailboat to go with this. And I think that would be a great connection. And if I had room on this magnetic sheet, I probably would store them together. But no. And I'm trying to be so good this summer too and not make giant messes in my craft room, and trying to sort through product that comes in and product that I buy and keep it nice and orderly so I can actually find things. Because you guys, I'm going on Craft Roulette this month in June. I'm so excited. So excited. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a game show that's a crafting game show. And I am beyond excited. And for it, I need to know what I have and where things are in my craft room. So I'm trying to stay a wee bit more organized. Now, you guys, the small die is called Shipmates. Look at this walrus. I mean, the cuteness factor is off the charts. He has a little pipe. He's got these really fun, bouncy looking whiskers. Of course, there's tiny little hats on these critters. He has a sweater. I mean, he's just so cute. And walruses are one of the animals that I teach about in kindergarten every single year. So I think this would be super fun to use in my classroom as well as making cards. So I definitely see that in my future, and it almost kills me to put this back in the package because I want to use this right now, but I'll be patient and do what I need to do first, which is finish this intro and then we'll get crafty. All right, the stitching die. If you know me, you know my channel it started with card kits, but it was a lot of stitching for a while there, because Spellbinders had a lot of stitching products. So the stitching die always makes my heart go pitter patter. This one's called Ahoy Matey. And if you look at the example, you can see that there's stitching elements all over this card. First of all, there's stitching on this really fun steering wheel of the ship. I feel like there's a specific name for what is this called? It's called a steering wheel, right? I feel like there's a ship term for that. If you know, let me know in the comments. I'm maybe just having a moment. There's a little wiggly line that you could interpret as water. You could also do a whole bunch of those, maybe like in a rainbow theme, and do a rainbow card. How fun would that be? Or an ombre, dark to light. Really cool. You don't have to use it as water. And it's very simple stitching, so you can have anybody in your life check that out and try it along with you. Crafting is always better if you do it together. So grab your sister, your mom, your son, your aunt, your uncle, whoever is around, and have them do this. I promise you that it's not as bad as it looks. Like, it's not as difficult as you might think. And if you're not a stitcher, you can still use this die set and not do any stitching. Are you ready? I'll show you how to do that. All you do is you don't die cut with the holes. So you can take the holes out of the water and just have water. You can take the holes out of the steering wheel. We're going to call it a steering wheel for now because I feel like there's a name, but I can't remember. Anyway, you can die cut this whole thing out, and you can have this and not stitch. So if you're not a stitcher and you're getting the caboodle and going, I don't want to stitch, I've got a little hack for you right there. So there you have it. But why not stitch? It's so fun. Also, with the little scarf for the seagull, you can stitch it, but you don't have to. I myself would love to. There's also a little anchor. This one is just really cute. I mean, I love a little bird. Spellbinders is in their bird era yet again. If you have looked at the coming soon section, I have to show you. These birds are not really a secret or anything, because they were used in one of the classes, I think, that Spellbinders did this spring. These are just so darn cute. They're called Pretty Birds, and they are pretty birds. And then there's this one that's called Flying High, and these are from a collection that's coming out here in June. So you'll be able to grab these if you are wanting some adorable birds in your life. And there's also some really gorgeous things that I'm going to show in just a minute that can coordinate with the clubs as well. But I digress. Let's move on to the next item. And by the way, if you want to see how I stitch with this, I will be showing that later in this video. Now, BetterPress, which I love BetterPressing. I'm a BetterPress babe. Hi, Melanie. Shout out to Melanie and all of the BetterPress babes that are watching. You guys are fabulous. And if you want to be a BetterPress babe, you just have to join our Facebook group and you'll be a BetterPress babe. Melanie Smith and I are doing live events with the BetterPress babes on our Facebooks every other month. It's on my channel, and every other month it's on her channel. So this month in June, it's on her channel. So you'll have to check that out. We love seeing you in the chat, and we love interacting with everybody. So what is this month's BetterPress club? It's called Harbor Weave. And this one is a cover again, and you can glimmer this, and you can also press it with your BetterPress. So if you don't have a BetterPress, you can glimmer it. If you don't have a BetterPress and you don't have a glimmer machine, you can use this for embossing as well. So that's pretty neat. And this one comes with 2 sentiments. The sentiments are sending a net full of thanks and casting a warm hello your way. And then they are also giving you a coordinating die to cut out the sentiments, which is always very helpful for cutting straight sentiments, if that is something that you need help with. No shame. That's why they provide it, All right. Not the last thing, just kidding. The next thing are these fun stencils. Now, you're kind of getting a 3-in-1 with these stencils. So you can see here are the designs that you can create. This one is just so fun to me, and I really want to use it right now. It has these swirls. They could be interpreted as like a water swirl, but I think this could also be clouds or fog with that lighthouse. It could also be maybe in a garden as like a whimsical look. But how fun is this? Then there's these little bubbles that you can have. And you can also have rolling water. So what you can do is use these stencils either on the top of your project or on the bottom, and you can kind of get different looks depending on what you'd like. And Spellbinders does put like a 1, 2, 3 on there if you need to see that, and then you can flip it over and they have the 1, 2, 3 right here. So that's always helpful when you're stenciling, especially for someone like me who, when you're crafting, you're either on the phone FaceTiming somebody or watching something or listening to an audiobook or music or talking to a family member, and you get distracted, which, hello, that's me. So we need all the help we can get. At least I do. Mine just not getting these straight. Gotta treat my things nicely here. I want them to last. I'm just going to slide this back into the pouch, and then we'll get into the last 2 things for the month. There are 2 embossing folders for this month. They have a 3D embossing folder and a regular embossing folder. So you can see both. I will just put a little piece of paper into each of them so you can kind of see the design. I know my lights are pretty bright, but this one is like a tied knot look. And I'm sure that this is going to be stunning. This is the 3D. So it's going to give quite a lot of dimension with that rope. And I am so excited to try it. And then there's this one, which is the regular embossing folder of the month. This is really neat to have in your stash because it is a little bit ambiguous to what it is. And this could be used for any background of any card, for anyone, for any situation. So whenever there's club embossing folders like this, I think they're great to hang on to and keep around because you can use them, you can mix and match. I just used one of the club embossing folders that had, was it February? I'm not sure, but it had some flowers down here and then it had this chain link fence design up here. And I used that in 4 cards to make some masculine car cards with Mindy Egan's new collection that came out in May. And I thought that was so fun. Not only do you get that use for the clubs, but you can use them over and over and over again. So I love embossing folders for that reason. And embossing folders look so gorgeous if you use them with a thick cardstock like a BetterPress paper or a mirror cardstock. It just looks so gorgeous. I love embossing folders. I love a lot of products. Let's be real. I'm obsessed with card making. That's my life. Anyway, before we get into the making, I just want to mention some things that could go along with the club items. So Spellbinders does their Weekender event. Last year I was part of it and I taught a class for it. This year I unfortunately don't have that much time at the end of May. So I was not part of it in any way, but I do have some of the products that have come out that are from that event. So there is this one that is called Beyond the Door. And then there's also this boat and the lemon. So you're going to see these on my channel later this month. Let's get into the making. Starting off strong, I'm just going to do a peel and reveal because here we are. Da-da-da-da. Moon Dust with the Glimmer plate. Isn't that gorgeous? Moon Dust is the blue-green foil color. Look at what it looks like on the negative of it. Oh, if that isn't screaming mermazing, I don't know what is. Okay, if you're curious of how I glimmer a full plate like this, check it out. I use the hinge method. I have a piece of low-tack craft tape at the top. I'm using this gorgeous light blue foil color. And then I'm going to cut it down to size. The foil plate is about an A2. It's a little bit bigger. I'm putting the paper right onto the foil plate, pressing the tape down and opening it up like a book, a little hinge there. Then I'm putting the glimmer roll with the glimmer piece shiny side to the hot plate. And the gray, which is kind of like gray glue, that side is toward the paper. Then I'll put it on my glimmer machine and press the timer button since my machine is prepped. After a couple minutes, it's done. I ran it through my platinum and it's hot, so be careful. Here we go. Da-da-da-da. Gorgeous. And I do find that sometimes I have a little bit of overfoiling with the glimmer plates. Sometimes it just happens. So I'll just take a little eraser. It's like a rubber eraser. Nothing fancy, and it helps get rid of any overfoiling. But look at how shiny that is. I just am obsessed. Well, since my glimmer machine is out and hot, it's hot and ready like a gross little Caesar's pizza. Sorry, just my opinion. I'm going to use this really neat paper that is in the color Coal. It is black paper from Pajama Crafter Stamps, and I'm using a matte gold glimmer roll with the BetterPress plate. Did you know that the BetterPress plate can glimmer as well as press? Yes, it can. So I did that same method, which is the hinge method, and look at that. Oh, that black paper from Pajama Crafter Stamps is called Coal, and it is perfect for glimmering. And if you know something about glimmer hot foiling, sometimes black cardstock can be challenging, and that one is so good. All right, are you ready for a weird experiment? I hope you are. I hope you've got a snack or something. We're going to get really messy, so if that bothers you, skip ahead maybe like 2 minutes. I have these Distress Oxide sprays, and I'm still learning how I want to use them and stuff in my craft room. I don't know. I just thought, why not try something new and fun today on camera? Why not make a total mess on my desk? So I have my Altenew stamp wheel sticky mat down with paper with my stencil. And I have taken these and I've shaken them up and we're just going to spray. Spoiler alert, this paper I don't like after, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like because it was fun to experiment. What I'm going to do though, it does kind of dry quickly. I will just say that, but I don't love the result. It was kind of like, I don't know. The design got kind of muddled, but look at my stencil. Doesn't that look like a fun little stamp? I don't know. I thought it did. So I grabbed a piece of watercolor paper and I flipped my stencil around and did a little rubbing with my fingers to get some of that extra spray off. And look at that. And I do like that. I don't know why I just said do. I do like that. I'm going to use it on a sailboat card. But I have gone ahead and washed up my stencil now, and we're just going to use it with regular Distress Oxides. Not be too strange with the stenciling of it all and the sprays. If you've watched some of my club videos, you know that typically when I get products like this in my craft room, I just like to play around and see what happens. So that's the process here. I have peacock feathers, which is a light teal. Actually, it's kind of like a medium teal. And I'm just lightly going over the stencil. Some of the areas where it's very swirled are a little bit tricky for stenciling. I just held my finger down. I did get a little bit of fuzziness on the two big swirls in the middle, but it's not a big deal because I'm going to put something over that. Actually, I haven't used this piece yet. So I'm not actually going to use this piece on camera today because I have a plan for this one to use with the wax seal whenever that does come to me. So just know that this will be featured later, not in today's video, but it will come back to maybe your social media page sometime in the future. But then I'm going to take Uncharted Mariner, which is a perfect title for all things of this club, and just kind of blend that up a little bit. I do love these two colors together. Looking at the outside of the oxide labels, I probably wouldn't put these two together normally, but I do think the richness of this navy color looks really cute with the peacock feathers. So just a side note. Now, I was feeling a little bit experimental today when I was doing this actual piece. So I'm going to do the same process with a different piece of paper and just check it out. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Peel and reveal. Ooh, I like that. Let's try it on something different. A glimmer paper. Isn't that fun? We're going to put this stencil over a glimmer. Yep. It might be a little bit much, but I do like it. And this is another piece where I will not be using it in today's video, but I will be using this with my wax seal. I have big plans for that wax seal because I do really, really like the design. And if you know me, you know I like the wax seals that are circular. So for me to love an oval wax seal is a little bit unusual, but that's just my crafty 2 cents. Now, when I'm using oxides over glimmer, it can be a little bit dulling to the foil, but if you want to keep that shine, once everything is kind of dried on the paper, so maybe wait a few hours or so, test on a small corner. You can kind of gently polish the glimmered areas again with a dry microfiber cloth. Do it on a test area just in case something moves and bleeds, but just know that you can get that shine back by just gently removing the oxide from the shiny bits. So we'll go in with Uncharted Mariner again on the bottom and check out the results. You ready? Dun, 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 dun. Peel and reveal. Ooh, I don't know. I really like it. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. You can call it something like stenciling on the Glimmer or something like that, and then we'll know what you're talking about. I really do think that this is a unique take on these two clubs. So like I said, I'm going to pull this background paper out on a future project, but what do you like better? Do you like the Glimmered or just the traditional stencil? Let me know in the comments. Man, I'm really just wiggling that one around. All right. Taking a little bit of a turn, we're going to work on the biggest card that I'm going to make here today. This is going to be a 5x7 card. I will show you what the whole scene looks like on an A2 before I glue it onto my 5x7. So if you're curious, you can check that out here. But I tried to use as many of the dies from the large die on this project just to really give you a good look at all of the different pieces and what you can make with this set. So there are a bunch of rocks, so you can go ahead and layer those up. You can kind of alternate them like I did and do some that are more gray and more white. And then there are 3 buildings. There's a short building and then a tall building and then the lighthouse. So I want all of my windows of my little seaside town that's on the shore, I want it to look like a happy little town. So I want the windows to look like they're glowing and there's happy little people inside. So I went ahead and made the background pieces yellow. So it looks like there are lights on inside the houses. And then we're going to layer that up. And I'm going to put on these little details for the houses, like the roof and the windows. But if I were to do this again, I would put on glossy accents right now onto my project. And I would put that on the windows so it gets nice and shiny, and then wait and put on these red frames for the windows after the glossy accents had dried, because it makes a really cool shiny window effect. So I didn't think about that as I was assembling, but I did think about it after. And I'm going to add shiny windows to a few of my projects on this video. But hindsight is always 2020, and that's what I would do next time. And if you don't know what glossy accents is, it is kind of like glue actually, but it's a clear dimensional medium, and I'm pretty sure it's from Ranger if I remember correctly, but it just makes things look shiny. And I remember using it on one of my first projects that I did at my friend's house when we were making cards. And I remember specifically putting it onto this cute little girl that I colored from my favorite stamps, and it was on her glasses. And I just thought it made her just really come to life, having a shining glasses on the card. I'm sure that I did not do probably my best job coloring, since I was still very, very new to coloring stamped images, but the glossy accents really pulled it together and saved my card. So that product, I think, is worth trying. So I'm going to show you a little tip for using that in just a bit here. But if you are crafting on a budget like I am, and like so many others are, you could use some liquid glue that you have if it dries glossy. Now, I like to use Barely Art, or I've been really using the My Sweet Petunia glue press, which holds the Nuvo, which is always going to dry in a matte finish, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but that is another option as well if you have a glossy glue. But it just comes in a cute little bottle, and it really makes images pop and come to life. So this lighthouse, I wanted to show you the light moving out of the lighthouse in 3 different ways using 3 different papers. So on this project, that my lighthouse has the gold mirror cardstock for the light. And it's really shiny and reflective, a smooth surface, and it's getting lots of shiny aspects to this. But I do think that this die, this lighthouse, would be very interesting to use one of the light up options from Pear Blossom Press. So if you are interested in seeing another lighthouse card where I made a lighthouse light up card, say that 5 times fast, I do have a video for that, and I will link that down below. That was my dad's, I think it was his Father's Day card or maybe his birthday card last year. I don't know. He loved it, and it's just so easy peasy, lemon squeezy to use those light up elements. It basically is a plug and play. You plug in the battery, you put the light where you want, and use some foam, and you're all set. It is so simple. They do all the engineering and wiring for you. So I will link those little lights down below if you're interested in trying them. And check out that video if you want to know how easy it is. It's so simple. Alrighty. I have my scene kind of going here. I have my mountains. I did die cut out 2 of the mountains that are small because I wanted it to have a bit of a background with a tall mountain in the back. And since it's in the back, it will be smaller to the eye and darker usually. So I put the darkest mountain on the back, and I'm just playing around with my scene and how I want it to look. I really try not to make cards, especially when I'm making inspiration cards like this or for the Spellbinders website. I don't like them to look exactly like the packaging. I want it to be something different because me as a crafter, not as a YouTube person online, if I bought a product, I would not want to see the same card with different cardstock colors by different people. I would want to see the die set or whatever the product is being used in different ways to make different styles of cards. So with that being said, it does look like the packaging a little bit. I did move things around, but I really like this large die. And I've gone ahead and made 3 different cards with this large die set. So I'm hoping that one of them catches your eye and you might like. So as I'm creating my scene, I was looking there. You might have noticed that my hands were off camera for a second. I could not find my Glad press and seal. And if you know anything about positioning dies, you might know that Glad press and seal can be very helpful for doing scenes or laying out flowers or whatnot and having your dies be in the same area. So I could not find it. So I figured, hey, this is a chance to show people who don't have it what you could do. So I used that low-tack craft tape, which is probably not going to hold much in place, let's be real, and I flipped it over, and I'm taking some scrap pieces of paper, and I just glued all of those to the back, and that is holding things in place. So it is a little bit more of a permanent situation. The Glad press and seal you can always peel off, and sure enough, there goes my buildings moving just a hair, but it's okay. We can put them down with some glue or foam tape, depending on my mood. But that is an easy way. And of course, when I finished cleaning up after doing all of the parts of the project for this video, of course, I found my Glad press and seal. It had made its way to the kitchen, not the craft room, but such is life. Alrighty, my lighthouse has been popped up with foam, like so. And then I'm just going to finish off the scene by adding the remaining rocks and the water. Let's talk about the clouds before we kind of get too crazy. Now, Spellbinders on the 10th, so just in a few days, on June 10th, they are going to be releasing some gorgeous new cardstocks that are specialty cardstocks. What? Yes. And if you're anything like me as a crafter, you like fancy cardstocks, or as they call it on Craft Roulette, highfalutin cardstocks. So let me just grab them really quickly. They are so gorgeous. You can see them on the coming soon section of the Spellbinders website, and I will link them down below. They are so gorgeous. I wish I could just have you like pass it through the screen so you could feel and see with your own eyes how gorgeous they are. So they're the textured cardstock. So there are 4 different colors. There's ruby, which is a red, aquamarine, which hello, I'm going to use that a ton in this video. Hello, aquamarine is gorgeous for a seaside. And then onyx, which is a black, and antique, which is kind of like a white beige creamy pack. And in each pack, there is a glitter metallic color, a matte metallic, which is almost like a mirror cardstock, but it is matte. I wish I could describe this better. It's called matte metallic. It really is just gorgeously matte metallic. There's a brushed metallic, which has these little brush lines going across. A mirror metallic, which is a very high shine metallic cardstock. And then there is a pearl metallic. And the pearl metallic I use a ton in this video with the aquamarine. So you're going to see that a bunch. And when I show it on camera, I will point it out. But the clouds on this card, well, I really just wanted to maximize, is that a real word? Maximize. There we go. I wanted to maximize how interesting the clouds were. First of all, they're die cut out so fun with these bouncy little rainbow lines. But I also wanted to not just die cut them all out in the same color because I think that would be a little bit too strange. I think sometimes with storms and fog, things can be all sorts of different shades. So I went in with some white cardstock. I used the glitter metallic and the brushed metallic and just made them all sorts of different combinations. So on the top middle one, I have that with the brushed cardstock on the front and back. The next cloud that's to the right, I did the brushed metallic with a white. And then some of them I'm just leaving with a background of a solid cloud. Just to, again, break up the background and keep it looking a little bit more like less perfect, if you will. And I am going to just pop a little bit of cardstock underneath this cloud so it is at the same level as my mountain. Then with my Spellbinders shears, we're going to do a little snippy snip and cut everything off. I thought I was going to grab my trimmer there. There we go. It's a bit stronger. I thought I was going to use my Spellbinder shears, but I will do that on another card. Sometimes the trimmers work well for this, and sometimes you just want to grab your scissors, but apparently I was feeling like the trimmer would work for this. Such is life. Now, sometimes I will take any of those little extra bits and bobs of the clouds and place them on other spots like I am here, just because it's a little piece. And if it's not going on my card right now, it's probably going in the recycling bin because I don't know what you do with a tiny piece of cloud besides put it on your existing project. Now, to make the water extra sparkly, I'm using the Wink of Stella, which is a shimmer pen, and just adding that to the water and making it look extra sparkly. It is really not showing up on camera, but I promise you it is sparkly. And then I am taking my little glossy accents and adding that to the water as well. Anytime I use glossy accents, here's my little tip, is to squirt some out before you start putting it on your project. So I used the back of some tape here. There is this tiny little nozzle where the product comes out, and sometimes you can get an air bubble in that little nozzle. And so if you're doing a project like this water, it probably doesn't matter if you have an air bubble because water can have air bubbles. But let's say you were doing something like the project I did with the glasses and the little girl. Having a big air bubble on this cute little girl's glasses would be a little bit odd. So if you kind of let that air bubble come out and you keep pressing so the medium doesn't go back down into the bottle and stays on the stem, you're able to applique that on nicely. So I am adding this to the windows now, and some windows are turning out better than others. Like I said, I would probably put the glossy accents on first and then put the frame of the windows on after. But like I said, hindsight is 2020. I just love the little balcony that's on this lighthouse. I think it looks extra fun and just kind of whimsical. Now I am taking my little pokey part of my tool here and just getting any extra product out of the windows or any air bubbles that I see there. That is just a very delicate way to either move the product around or to get rid of some extras. And it looks like I was a little bit heavy-handed on some of these window panels. So with a little bit of fussing, I was able to fix it up. And in the process, I found a rock. That missing rock will just get put right here. Glossy Accents is very sticky, so you can kind of use it like a glue, like I just did with my rock. Now, the sentiment, thanks for lighting the way, is from the stamp set. That is the Stamp and Die. And this is all set. I need to let everything dry. That Glossy Accents takes about an hour to 3 hours to dry, depending on how much product you use. But I do love the final result. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I love this die so much, I'm going to do it again, but a different style. So with this card, I'm going to make a frame for my lighthouse. I have this foam tape that I'm going to run across on the back of all 4 sides, and I am going to use 2 layers of foam to do this. So I will just position it in just the right spots. Then I'm going to put the frame over the project, like so. I am just going to trim a little bit off once it's on, so if this is a daunting task, you can always put liquid glue on the foam and then you can kind of wiggle it around. I wanted it to make sure that it was framing my lighthouse just so, and so I have it offset a little. So you can see on this lighthouse, I use the glitter gold paper or cardstock for the light, and I think it looks super gorgeous with that BetterPress black foil that I did with the BetterPress plate. Now that background is the Pearl Metallic from the Aquamarine pack, and I think it is just so gorgeous blue, and it's perfect for my sky. Then for my sentiment, I will pop it up with some foam and of course use my reverse tweezers just to place it in the right spot, like so. Now I just could not help by doing multiple cards with this large die. So here is the second card all on my card base. I have a top folding card base for this one. Let me know in the comments if you are a side folder or a top folder for cards. Look at that shiny window. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. Glossy Accents for the win. So here is a pretty version of that card with natural daylight. Perfect. Take me there, right? Okay, I wanted to show you how I added the windows, the Glossy Accents to the windows first by adding it right like this and then putting the frame over it. Now, I do have a little bit of an oopsie mistake happening in a little bit, and I do leave in a lot of mistakes on my videos because nobody is perfect, especially not me, especially when it comes to card making. So if that helps or encourages someone, there you go. You've got it. This little window flies off the top in just a minute. I forgot that I die cut out 2 pieces of cardstock from my lighthouse just for strength. I wanted it to be nice and thick, and the window flies out the second window. But that's okay. Of course, I'm going to add a balcony because if you're going to be on a lighthouse and you want to go and look out a balcony, I know I would. Oh, whoopsie, there goes that window. That's okay. I'll just glue it back into place. It'll be all fine. Oh, wait, no, just kidding. It falls onto my lighthouse again. And of course, the Glossy Accents is going to dry shiny, so it's not like that can even be really covered up. So we'll just maybe say it's some sea spray from the water on the lighthouse. Ay. Okay, so with this card though, I wanted it to be very, very foggy. So I have my Tunnel Clouds die, and I will link that down below, that came out last year from Spellbinders. And look at this cardstock that I have on my light for my lighthouse. Isn't that so shiny and fun? That is some holographic paper from scrapbook.com. I will also link that down below. I have all sorts of things to link. So if you do use my links, it definitely helps my channel and it helps my small business. So I really do appreciate that. There we go. I'll put my lighthouse there. I just used a scrap for my sand. Not very much of my lighthouse will show because of my tunnel clouds. So this was a pretty quick die cut prep for this card. I'm even just using 2 pieces of water, and that's it. The aquamarine pearl metallic is just so fun, which is that blue for the water. All right, I wanted to just give a little bit of fog and smokiness to my clouds. So I'm using a dry black ink brush that I just have. I don't even remember the last time I used this, so I don't know how much ink was really on here, just enough. But you can see just by adding that ink, it definitely added a little bit of some depth and dimension there. I did not put it on my top layer because I want that to be very clean looking. So between each layer of clouds, I am using foam, and this will just give the opportunity for some shadows to happen between each layer. And I'm not going crazy with the foam. I'm just adding foam basically around the edge. But you can see really not much of my scene is going to show. I do have a little bit of some water that is showing that it's a little bit too high, honestly. So what I'm going to do is just pretend like it's not a problem and maybe put some cardstock there, or maybe I put the sentiment there, but you can see it's just kind of empty. Nope, I just pretend it's not there. But watching this video now, I do see that there's a little bit of some dark blue popping up under the water, but perfect is boring, so it's fine. Oh, I really like that. If I were to remake this, I would put the light coming through maybe the first layer of clouds, though. I think that would be extra special. Ta-da! There it is. I'm trying to put these finished cards in for you so you can see them halfway. All right, this card. This is a mermaid tail. Get right out. I sketched this on some white paper and then just fussy cut out my own little sketch with a mermaid. Now I wanted to trace this out like I did for the black mermaid tail on the side. Although with my double foil on this paper, I could barely see my pencil line. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and erase right over my glimmer. And I'm going to flip this whole piece over and I'll trace on the back. And then I'll cut. Really not too complicated. If you want a die and you don't have a die in your stash, or you are crafting on a budget, just draw it, trace it, or I don't know, just get creative with your own brain. If you like something and you don't have something for it in your stash, I really recommend trying something like this out. I did not have a mermaid tail die, but this glimmer was just screaming mermaid to me. So I had to make a mermaid card. So the one mermaid tail has double foiling. The other one has the opal, which is the glimmer roll for this month. So here's your secret word. Your secret word this month is mermaid. So if you're watching at this point in the video, we're about an hour in roughly, put mermaid in the comments, and then I will know that you are watching even midway through this video. Ooh, I love a bright cardstock. So this background is hot pink. It's actually from Astro Brights, which is usually more of like an office supply, but I did pick up some Astro Brights paper. It's super bright and shiny, so I like to have bright cardstocks on hand. Now these enamel dots are from Trinity Stamps. They're called Glossy Holographic Enamel Dots, and I treated them like bubbles. So that was kind of the design look on this one. But in person, the mermaid tails just shine even better. Even in the picture with natural daylight, I did get a little bit of a rainbow effect on the tail there, but it looks incredibly better in person. And the little holographic dots just look so good. So that's lovely. I do have a link for Trinity stamps as well. Since last month on my club video, I do have a little bit of news. My news is that I have joined the Trinity Stamps design team, which is a complete dream come true. It was not something that I was really expecting, and I am beyond honored and excited to be part of it. So you're going to see more Trinity stamps on my channel, as well as some really awesome things coming up from Pajama Crafter Stamps, which is the other design team that I am part of. And I love supporting these card companies. So if you are looking for something new in your craft room, I would highly recommend supporting the crafty world as much as possible during these economic times. We won't get into any politics or anything. Please no comments like that about anything political in the comments. I beg you. We're trying to keep this a crafty space and nothing else. But I do love supporting a small business. And if you do, extra crafty points to you, my friend. Okay, this small die with this walrus and the bird, or the seagull, if you will, with the little hat is just all sorts of cute. So I did leave in the assembly of the walrus just in case you wanted to kind of copy that, at least the order. But for the walrus, I used white cardstock for his body. Nope, sorry. I used Fog, which was an old cardstock color from Spellbinders, which is basically a gray-white, almost a white, but it's called Fog. And then for his tusks, I used a bright white cardstock. So it did kind of leave a little bit of color difference between the tusks and his body. Then with his snout that I just glued on, snout, I used the pearl metallic cardstock. It was not from the antique assorted pack. It was from an old cardstock pack that I had from Spellbinders from a few years ago. And then I added rosy cheeks on him and then these bouncy looking whiskers. Now for adding a whole bunch of glue on the back of them, I do recommend not having a heavy hand with the glue and maybe pouncing it on something else or your hand. Sometimes I use the back of my hand to pounce glue on, but you don't want to have big ink smushes or glue smushes. Now his hat is just so cute, a little beanie for my walrus. I think this walrus and then the bear from last summer's clubs would be so cute together. And then I did choose to use the little pipe because it's kind of like a piratey theme card or like a sailor card. I have the sentiment Salty Sailor as my sentiment there, so I wanted to use the pipe, but if smoking is something that you are sensitive to, you don't have to use the pipe. Now, do you recognize the background here? This was the inside rectangle that I glimmered at the beginning of this video, but I used the outside for my lighthouse frame, and the background now has detail around the edge that is from the perfect nested rectangle set, and now it's going to be a perfect background for my walrus. And then I use that same rectangle set to die cut out my white and red cardstock on the left there, so everything could match and coordinate. So it's a great way to use your nesting dies, which are probably in your craft room. Doesn't matter what shape you use, just use any shape. Haha, subliminal messaging there. In the glue. Did you catch it? But anyway, it's good to use your shaped dies and use all of your paper, maximize your paper basically by using it on multiple projects. So my little seagull will get popped up with some foam tape. And then there are options for his feet. So there are long legs or just the little nub feet. So you can use the long legs when he's flying. And then when he is sitting down, you can use just the feet, or you can add both, which I will do on another card in this video. It just gives a little more texture to the feet. If you've ever looked at a bird foot, you know that they're a little bit textured, a little dinosaur-y. So extra layers are all good to go. Oh, did you catch that? Another mistake there. Put the bird on, take the bird off. I wanted both sentiments on this card. I love both of them. The Ahoy Matey and the Salty Sailor is just everything. So, so funny. I put just a tiny bit of foam behind the anchor and a little bit of glue there, and I'm just pressing it to the bottom of my walrus so it stays on. And then I will finish off this card. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Maybe this one is your favorite. I always love to see what people like as their favorite. So be sure to be on the lookout for your favorite card as we go along. But look at that colored cardstock and the textures there. It's just so shiny. By the way, all of my sentiments that are from the stamp set for all of my cards have been stamped and heat embossed. I did a little bit of some batching off camera and stamped all of my sentiments with the right color cardstock that I wanted and did that off camera. If you're interested to see how I heat emboss, I do have a whole video on that, and I will link that down below as well. Now, I did pull out this really oldie but goodie circle that is not even sold anymore on the Spellbinders website, but it is one of my favorite circle dies ever. And I use the stencil of the month for that little scene. I'm going to pop my sailboats on this circle. Then the background is BetterPress with the opal, which is the Glimmer roll for the month, and some blue cardstock from my stash. As I assemble this sailboat, I'm just going to talk briefly about how the clubs work for Spellbinders. So you have a little bit of an idea. So you get to choose what club you want. There are 3 die cutting options. So there's the large die, the small die, and the stitching die. There's hot foiling, there's stamping with a stamp and a coordinating die if you want that. There's 2 different embossing folders, like I showed in the beginning. There's the 3D and the regular. Then there's better pressing, which you can glimmer and you can press with. Then there's also wax sealing and stenciling. And if you did not know, with the glimmer and the wax seal, like I talked about at the beginning, you get a free product with each of those clubs. So you're going to get some either wax beads or some kind of a tool, or you'll get a glimmer roll or depending on what club you are signing up for. So the kits do ship monthly. So the sign up window for the clubs is from the 6th of the month till the 27th or through the 27th. So if you are an existing club member right now, if you're watching this from June 1st to the 5th, you can go ahead and look at what clubs you want. And then the clubs are charged on the 5th of the month. So just keep that in mind. And then Spellbinders always does say that the clubs will ship by the end of the month. So if you are a club member, you're not going to get your club kit sent to you on June 2nd. It just doesn't work that way. But if you're a little bit patient, you're going to get something amazing sent to you. And then you can always cancel, but they don't have the option for skipping months. So besides that, you can see lots of inspiration online. I have tons of things on my channel, but there's also a really good Facebook group. What's the group called, you might be wondering? It's called the Stationery Maker Group, which is my favorite Facebook group for sharing all things card making. So if you are looking for inspiration, you're going to see it there. And you can also share your cards and give inspiration to others. I am going to cut this down just to be 4 by 5 1/4, so it's going to have a white frame around this card. Back to my little spiel about the club items, you are also going to get member benefits. So they will occasionally send out free goodies like this sailboat, which will be a free bonus item if you get the caboodle, which by the way, the caboodle is getting everything. And you get some savings with each of the clubs. You will get the option to get some discounts as well. And you also get early access to new products. And if you're anything like me, anytime where you can get something early is exciting. I know it's important to be patient, but also when you can get access to it, it's just wonderful. So if you look at the coming soon section of the Spellbinders websites, at the beginning of the month, you can see what's coming out. So clubs go out on the 1st, they're announced. And then the new items for the month are always coming out on the 10th of every month unless said otherwise. So right now, today, you can see the June items that are coming out. So you can see lots of goodies every month early, and you don't have to wait to at least look at them until they come out. You can see them early. It's always so fun to see what's coming out and to see what you could bring into your craft room soon. So that's one of my favorite benefits of being a club member, is just knowing what's coming up. All right, back to the card making. I have a few different pieces here. I have that piece that I used my distress sprays with, which is the skinny piece that's now on my project. It's on the top. And then I have a glimmered piece that I just did some ink blending on. And I just am going to lop off the top. And this is going to be moving water for my little sailboat to be moving on. And this will give like a ripple effect for my sailboat. So this die that I'm using right here is from Spellbinders as well. I will link it down below. It's from the same collection with the tunnel clouds. So it's a great one for different layers and such. And I'm going to use that same die on my wax seal project later this month as well. I will put the sailboat right over that little area, so it looks like the sailboat is creating the ripples. And then I'll put this whole piece right onto that background of that shiny paper. In person, it looks so much shinier. I wish I could show it to you better than this picture, but this is what we have for now. Ahoy. Okay. If you know about the whale in the bottle, you know how popular it was. It came out 2 years ago, and it is still constantly selling out on the Spellbinders website. It is such a popular die. I have loved it since it came into my card making stash. Oh my goodness, excuse my hand. When I was making this card, I was actually on a very wonderful video call with Melanie. I digress, which is fine because we can talk about the pieces here. So the large die of the month was this whale in a bottle. And so on this card, I used the stencil of the month and the stamp to remake my whale in the bottle card. I will link that whale in the bottle video under this as well. So if you're interested, you can check out more projects that I made with that set. It's a really gorgeous set, and it just has such wonder, and I don't know, it just makes me feel so exciting when I look at it. And the whale is just adorable. And like I said, it keeps selling out. It's ridiculously popular. So I wanted to use it here again and just show it even more love. If it is available for purchase, I will have it linked as well in my products I used, so you can check that out. But this is another good reminder to get something that you love before the club window closes, right? So just go on a journey here with me for a second. This large die, when it was June 2023, which was similar to now when it's June 2025, so 2 years ago, just like this month, if you want to get a large die, it's going to cost the price of the large die, which I think at the time it was, was it 27? That might be wrong. I know it was not the full price. Okay. So when the club window is over, and if they have leftovers, or if they're incredibly popular, like this whale in the bottle is, they will bring the club items back to the website, but they're going to be more expensive. So the large die of the month, I'm pretty sure was like $27, $28, right? During the monthly window, the club window. And then when it goes on the website, it's like $40. So you can save yourself like $13 just by it being a club member. So I'm just saying it's a good way to save a little do-re-mi, if you know what I mean. All right, I've got my little wobbler on because I want my whale to wobble. It's just so darling. Now, I did have a question on a recent video that I did on the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel about wobblers. Someone said, what side of the wobbler do you put on your projects? So, I've done it both ways. Frankly, I don't think it really matters. You can put the thick side on your project or the thick side on your little piece that will wobble, or you can do it the opposite way. If you're worried about things falling off, you can always take a little liquid glue like I did on my project, and you can go ahead and add that extra strength. But look how fun this wobbler is. Again, I wish I could pass this card through the screen to you so you could have fun wobbling this. Aren't they just so fun? I will link wobbles down below as well in the video if you're interested. This is just so fun, and I had to just play with it a whole bunch. So you can go ahead and put this on an A2 card base, like I just had that little blue background there, or you could put it on a 5x7 card, or so many options, or you can make a shaped card and have your card be the shape of this bottle, which is just so fun. Sometimes the wobblers get stuck on pieces around, like my whale will in just a second here. Oops. Oh no. There we go. It's all good. So I chose to do a shaped card with this one, but just look how cute that whale is. Don't you just want to like boop his little nose like, oh, hello. I know I do. Alrighty. Let's move to the stitching cards. So I made 2 stitching cards because I really liked this set. The stitching die that has the water, I just want to show you, it doesn't cut off the bottom of the water. So you can do a stacked effect like I have here on this card. And then you can trim it down to size to whatever size you want your water to be. So I want mine to be about that size. I'm not really measuring. I'm just looking at the paper and how long it was. So just know that. And then I have my 3D embossing folder on the back, and look at all of the dimension there. It is just top notch. I love 3D embossing folders for that reason. It just creates so much texture and dimension. So I will put my little water trio on the bottom. And before we get to the actual stitching, let's assemble this seagull like a little pirate parrot. Yeah. So you're going to have to tell me which one you like best, because like I said, I'm going to make 2 different stitching projects. One is going to be piratey and one is going to be sailorish. So you'll have to tell me which one you like best. So this little parrot is going to have striped black and white little top. And so we'll put it on his shirt there. And the parrots are typically like the green parrots with the red tip on the wings. So that is the look I'm going for right here. I accidentally glued on part of the wing that I'm going to rip off in just a second here, but just bear with me. I have the bright orange beak and the long legs because he's going to be standing on the steering wheel. Now, before I was asking you if there's another name for that, and I'm pretty sure it's called the captain's wheel. So that might be it. I'm just not sure. So with this little pirate, I needed him to look extra piratey and not just have the striped shirt and look like a parrot. I wanted him to have an eye patch. So what I did was a little bit unique. There isn't a die to make the eye patch, but I am going to make an eye patch with a little circle punch in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. How many of you have a hole puncher in your stash? I'm sure you do. So if you want a pirate bird, you can make a little eye patch as well. But this is the basic or layout that I'm going for my card here. All right, let's get to stitching. I have my captain's wheel all die cut out. I have 2 pieces. So one has the stitching holes and one side does not. So like I said, you can use this stitching die without stitching if you don't want to stitch. But I used both of them because I'm going to stitch on the one with holes. And then on the other one, I'm going to glue that to the back. So when I like to stitch, I like to use tape. So I'm going to take a piece of a really, really small piece of tape. That is the best ever craft tape from Spellbinders, and just tape my little tail down. And then we're going to go ahead and just make straight stitches. Let's get nice and close so you can see what I'm up to. And we're going to just go in and out into each little section. It really isn't too complicated. I think the most complicated thing about this is just making sure the string does not get stuck on the big pieces that dart out from the steering wheel. Then I'm going to show you a little trick to get to that other section in just a minute here without starting and stopping and having a string line. So we'll just go all the way around. If you're interested in more stitching content, I have a ton of stitching on my channel. I do have a Stitching 101 series, which is a 2-part video at the moment. I am wondering if I should add to it, but I feel like I covered a lot. Anyway, both videos are helpful. One shows you what materials you may or may not need, and one shows you how to do different stitching. So on this one, it's all straight stitching. So I did not show the stitching of any of the water because it's the exact same method as this captain's wheel. We'll just go back and forth all the way across. And I am using 3 threads. That is my favorite size for stitching, which is DMC floss. Comes in 6 strands, so I split it up and I have 3 strands. All right, as I finish this big oval, or this big half circle, I guess, on the steering wheel, I'm going to flip my project over and just bring my floss to that area by tucking it in this stitch. Do you see? And then hiding the thread behind that little piece. I'm going to flip it over so you can see in just a second. I do stitch pretty fast, but this is sped up to 1.5 speed. So if you're looking at this going, what in the world? That is so fast. I mean, I do stitch fast, but not like that fast. All right, there we go. I'm just going to back stitch a couple stitches and snip, snap. Ta-da, all done. That took, without speeding it up, it took about 3.5 minutes to stitch. Really not long at all. And you get something really cool. The amount of texture on this card is crazy. And that's one of my favorite parts or reasons why I like stitching. It just adds so much texture to your cards. And I'm going to add liquid glue all on the back of my stitching piece, everywhere, because I'm going to make a little sandwich. And the glue is like the inside of the sandwich. And we're going to put it right on top of that simple die cut piece so it looks like a solid captain's wheel. Now, you might be wondering, why is the wheel hanging off of your project? And it's designed that way. So if you don't like it hanging off the edge like it is on mine, you could take your card and turn it so you have a landscape style card. So my cards are usually portrait, which means the small side is on the bottom and the long side is on the sides. But you could take your card and flip it over and have a steering wheel going the other way. But for an A2 card, you will have the steering wheel spokes sticking out on each side. So for mailing or delivering your card, you can always just size up with your envelope and just get a little bigger of an envelope, and it's no big deal. I think it actually adds to the card because it's just bringing the image from the card away from just the size of the card and just kind of elongating the scene. So I think it is just fine that it comes off. Oh, my little pirate bird looks so cute, but he needs an eye patch, like I said. So we're just going to pop out a black circle from my hole puncher. And, ooh, man, that looks a little crazy. I had to show Melanie. We were still on video at this point. What I end up doing is taking that hole punch and very delicately cut out the eye patch to look more like a realistic pirate eye patch. So to do that, I'm taking my scissors and just gently getting a little bit of the circle removed. And in the process, I actually made these 2 little scraps, and they are perfect for the straps for my eye patch. Isn't that adorable? Yes, it's not covering his eye, but it's kind of like he popped it up on the top of his head like you would sunglasses. And I think it's extra sassy and cute. So I had to. He's a pirate. He needs an eye patch, you know? So there is my little pirate bird. The embossing folder background, the glitter cardstock, and the stitching, the texture is crazy on this card, but I love it. All right, on this card, I'm using the same die set, so the stitching die, and I'm layering up the water in a different way just to show you another way that you could design your water here. So I have layered every other piece with stitching and non-stitching, and I have it die cut out in 2 different shades of blue. And basically I'm making a little hinge here because I want it to fit on my card here, but not be too big. And then the background I have glimmered with that opal glimmer roll, which was from this month's Glimmer. And then I use that black cardstock from Pajama Crafter Stamps as well on this background. But by layering up the different waves and different textures, it really gives a fun texture for the waves, and it just gives a fun dimension as well. So I'm going to use some low-tack craft tape here and just get everything in position. And then I will pop that up. And you see I already have stitched on my steering wheel or my captain's wheel there, and then I do have my little bird die cut out. So the clouds on this card are different. They are from the Tunnel Clouds die set that have the sun and the moon on them as well as the tunnel clouds. So I didn't use the sun and the moon on any of the clubs this month, but they are always an option in my crafty stash to use on future projects. So that yellow tape there is working like a hinge, so I'm just going to pop that up with some foam because I love popping things up with foam. It just adds more dimension to projects. And this roll of foam I found in my craft room when I was cleaning, and I'm excited to use up this roll because it is just very bulky and it's not very storage friendly. So I've been using it on a lot of projects here on today's video. And I do love the convenience of a roll of foam, but I find that the sheets of foam are just so much easier to store on my desk and in my craft room. That's just my personal preference. Let me know in the comment, what kind of foam do you prefer? Do you prefer in a roll or on a flat sheet? Curious inquiring minds are wondering. Or just me. Now, if you don't know, Spellbinders, those little scissors there, and the big mama scissors that are on the side, those are the Spellbinders shears. Both of them are non-stick. Oh, it's so amazing. I love non-stick scissors. I've never had non-stick scissors before those. And I don't know why they don't make all of the scissors in the whole world non-stick, because I am now spoiled rotten from having non-stick scissors. They don't stick on the foam at all, and it is just easy peasy for application and for frustration's sake. I'm not going to spend too long on the video part with this card because it is basically just what I did on my last one, with a little bit of a twist with having a seagull and not a pirate parrot. But let me know which one you like better in the comments. Do you like my seagull pirate or my seagull card or my pirate parrot card? Here's a final look at the seagull one. You can see I did add the second little die cut piece for the feet just for extra interest. But I do like this one as well. But I think the pirate has to be my favorite, right? I mean, just looking at them, I like both. I do like the broodiness of the seagull one with having the black background. If you know me as a crafter, you know I love black paper. It just is so striking, and black is beautiful. So I think it's the pirate for me because I think he has lots of attitude. But I love the black background. Alrighty. Now, because I was pulling out and going through all of my things in my craft room stash, I did come across some really fun dies. Do you see the turtle and the fish? You might see them there and go, what are you doing? Those are cute. That's what I would think if I just randomly saw a cute little sea turtle. So what I did was I die cut those out and assembled them. And I'm using my reverse foil for my Glimmer background on this project. And I pulled out the embossing folder for this month to create lots of texture on my little abstract blobs, which are supposed to be kind of like water. And then I pulled out the stamp and die of the month. And I pulled in some dies that were from my stash. I will have all of those linked down below. I am fairly certain that they are still available on the Spellbinders website. But they are so fun with all of these clubs. I think that this is a perfect little combination to add in. Maybe you could even have a whale and a sea turtle card. Wouldn't that be cute if it was all together? I don't know. I just think some of these sea elements would be perfect for even scrapbooking, maybe for some vacation style things. If you went somewhere warm, I think that would be awesome. Did you see what I just did there with the glossy accents? I made bubbles for the fish. Yes, bubbles. So there's a finished look at that card. Just so gorgeous with that Glimmer background. I'm loving this card. I think it's so cute and fun. So summery as well. All right, we've come to the end of the video where I show still pictures of the cards that I have made here today. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask them in the comments or pop over to my Facebook group that is called Stationery Maker Group. Join there and then ask the question, or even better, share your art. I want to see what you are creating in your craft room. Let me know which one is your favorite down below. I think my favorite is a tie this month. It is a tie between the card that has the pirate bird on it and a tie between my 5x7 lighthouse die set card, my large die set card. I really do like that one, but this pirate one has a special place in my heart. I think it's just so silly and fun, and I love the sentiment that says many thanks from the salty sailor, because how funny is that? But these fish are so cute as well. So just let me know your favorite in the comments. I know that this walrus is going to be very, very popular this month because it is just so cute and characters always are popular. So anyway, thank you so very much for watching. If you have made it all the way to the end of this video, please go ahead and write the code word that I said in the middle of the video in the comments and let me know your favorite. And if you would like to get extra fun crafty bonus points from me, go ahead and share this video with a crafty friend. I dare you. Send it to one of your crafty friends, and maybe one of you can grab something from the clubs and you can create together. Or just find something in your stash and get together. Crafting is always better with friends, so go ahead and do that. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of this video, and we'll see you next time. Bye, crafty friend.